Hello everyone and welcome back guys to episode 3 of our F1 Manager 22 Let's Play, where yesterday we return for the Australian Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the double uploads that went live yesterday, I would highly recommend going back and checking them out. Of course, there will be spoilers in just a moment. But yes, we return today though, like I said, down in the land down under Albert Park, the Australian Grand Prix, and safe to say things have been going pretty well so far this season. Of course, what I'm going to try and do now is we're going to have sort of a normal F1 22 video during the day, and then I'm going to try and make this sort of more of an evening series so we can sit back, chill, enjoy F1 Manager 22 together. So if you like the sound of that, please do make sure you leave a like and get yourself subscribed. At the time we're recording this, we are incredibly close now to 80,000 subscribers, obviously trying to hit 100k before the end of the year. But yeah, heading though to Albert Park, so far first two races of the year have gone very well for us. We currently sit with the maximum available points there of 88. Drivers' Championship, Charles Leclerc leads the way, still 2 points ahead of Carlos Sainz by virtue of his 2 fastest lap bonus points there, with Verstappen and Perez sat in 3rd and 4th. They're ahead of both of the Mercedes, but we have got a little bit of time before we head into the Australian Grand Prix this weekend. You can see we've got a few manufacturing parts that need to get done. We have got a few emails come through as well, of course, just the team congratulating us on the success from the Jeddah Saudi Arabian Grand Prix there. The board very confident after the opening couple of races, of course. We are aware though, you know, Bahrain, Saudi, Albert Park, they should all be tracks that suit our car quite well. And then when we get back into the European leg, you know, the likes of Imola, Spain, Monaco, even probably Miami to a certain degree are probably going to suit Red Bull's car just a little bit more. So things, you know, we've had 2 very good races to kickstart the year, but things I'm sure are going to get very spicy very quickly there. But I'm just going to have a quick look around, see if there's anything we need to do. I think both drivers has got an available perk that we can up them on. So Charles Leclerc, I'm going to upgrade his adaptability up to 72 there. What we'll probably do, you know, is just try and make sure that both drivers are, you know, on anything they're struggling with, we're just going to try and improve there. So again, Carlos Sainz even, we're going to go with his reactions. Now, I know I'm going to keep saying it at the start of all these videos, of course. The goal of this career mode is just to learn F1 Manager. Once we've wrapped up the title with Ferrari, we are going to be doing a full-on road to glory with a different team. So, you know, like I said, if you want to check that out, make sure you do get yourselves subscribed, because, I mean, if things keep going as they are, we might only need 1 season with Ferrari to try and learn the ropes here on F1 Manager. And then, of course, yeah, we'll jump in. I'll let you guys vote down the line as to what you want to see. But yeah, I think heading into this weekend, though, like I said, we've got a few little bits and pieces that we need to do. We've got some performance targets, everything like that, which, again, of course, we're just going to try and reach Q2 and Q3 once again. I'm gonna gamble it. We're going to say we can try and get fastest lap this weekend as well there. And, yeah, we certainly want both a finish and a qualifying streak as well, which gives you big bonuses before we head into Albert Park. Now, in terms of anything else, can we try? How is Charles Leclerc's car looking at the moment? Of course, we know we had some engine cooling issues last weekend. We're still doing better than the rest of the field there, so I guess that's not too much to worry about. You can see we have got a very strong car in most of the circumstances there. And the second car as well is, again, looking pretty similar. Looks like, yeah, 374 kilometers an hour. That's like 225 miles an hour. This thing is an absolute rocket ship down the straight. Let's just compare it up to Red Bull quickly. Of course, they're really our only big threat at the moment. So like I said, you know, Red Bull got slightly better top-end speed. But looking at it, actually, we seem to be a lot stronger in most areas there. They just seem to have slightly better engine cooling. So perhaps we haven't got so much to worry about before we jump into, you know, sort of the European leg of the campaign. I do want to try and develop a few more parts, though, before we head into this weekend. There, obviously, unfortunately, at the moment, we can't design anything new, but I do want to try and develop some more higher downforce parts, of course, ready for next weekend. So that's what I'm going to quickly try and work out how to set up. Ah, right, I've just remembered as well, of course, I'm manufacturing parts we've already got. We're not developing any new ones, so we have got to wait. We're going to cancel that project quickly. A bit of a brain fart from myself there. But yeah, let's fast forward then towards this weekend. Hopefully everything is going to be all sorted there. So the F22, we've got a new version of the suspension now ready for the weekend. So we'll try and get that put on to both of the cars there. Again, they're just a little bit worried about Charles Leclerc's engine cooling, but yeah, the board seem pretty happy with us. You know, we're doing well on the money. I think financial-wise, we're actually below target at the moment there. You can see, actually, we're pretty much even, but obviously we've got a lot of money that we can spend down the line. So, I mean, we look at that. We should make $123 million by the end of the year there, but I think if any team's going to turn a profit in Formula 1, it is going to be Ferrari. Let's just get those new suspension then on both of the cars. There we go. So we've got the S2 there on that one. We'll install that onto car 2 as well. So both of them now with the upgraded suspension there. That's going to help really in the dirty air and the high-speed cornering, which again is super important at Albert Park. Let's get into it then. Australian Grand Prix. Hopefully once more, maybe another one too, is on the table.
Welcome to Melbourne for a weekend of fierce competition. We're a stone's throw from the beach here at the Albert Park circuit. It might be party mood in the grandstands, but in the paddock, expectations and tensions are high. The Albert Park circuit is bursting with rapid corners and a long straight where drivers can push their speed to the limits. Good attention to medium speed downforce will likely make beating this beast of a track just a little bit easier. At this early stage in the season, there are still plenty of opportunities for things to change. In this sport, there simply are no guarantees. Okay then, let's get to it.
Right, so heading then into the Australian Grand Prix here from Albert Park. Once again, I'm going to try and do some free practice running, but obviously I won't showcase too much of it to you guys. Again, we're still trying to learn how the setups work, how we can make the drivers feel confident in the car. But yeah, really actually feeling a lot more confident for the Australian Grand Prix this weekend here at Albert Park than I originally anticipated there. Like I said, we're going to just send both drivers out for a 15-lap run. Hopefully they can try and get some good times on the board, and fingers crossed we get no issues either. That's the other big one, of course. A mistake could happen pretty much anywhere there, but you can already see both of them very, very confident with the setup, actually. We're running quite similar sort of wing angles and toe and everything like that to what we were in Jeddah. And, of course, you know, these first three tracks where they are quite similar in their characteristics, of course, all high speed, a few big braking zones, but, you know, sort of fairly high-speed corners as well. You know, you can really carry a lot of data from each weekend. And, of course, Jeddah and Albert Park are both street circuits, one slightly more bumpy than the other.
I think we should be satisfied with the step we've done, at least here.
I mean, that is reassuring there. Charles Leclerc very, very confident in the car. Both drivers, of course, as you get right towards the top end on the setups, you know, both drivers will start to struggle a little bit. Sainz, I'm running slightly less wing, but I think slightly more toe and camber. But the pace is looking pretty similar across the board there, with Verstappen 3/10 away. Any other notable performance, though, looks fairly consistent with what we've seen so far this year. I guess the really big change-up will probably be at Imola next weekend. But, yeah, I'm just going to keep the drivers going out. We'll make some small setup tweaks. And then, hopefully, I should join you guys ready for qualifying. But there we are then, the end of free practice 1, and it is Max Verstappen fastest there again on the hard compound tyres. Very, very good lap by the Dutchman. Looks like Red Bull and a few other teams were able to get a couple more laps in than us over free practice there, but I feel like we've got a strong setup on the car. But yeah, maybe a little bit worried about that Red Bull's pace, but of course you never really quite know what's going to happen until we get into qualifying. Let's do it then here from Albert Park. Fingers crossed we won't have a scare in Q1 like we did last time, where Leclerc almost ended up out.
Welcome back to what is proving to be an exciting weekend of Formula 1 action, with practice having finished and qualifying set to follow. For those teams who made the most of free practice, they'll be heading into qualifying full of confidence, knowing that they can carry today's momentum into the upcoming session. Does practice make perfect? Well, for one standout driver, it will make for pole. Hold on tight, because we're getting underway.
Right, here we are then, qualifying day, and look at that, Sainz fastest at the end of free practice running there. Max Verstappen, though, not able to go any quicker on the soft tyres than he did on the hard, so again, I wonder if they're just sandbagging slightly there. Again, you know, Red Bull don't want to reveal all their pace too early on in the weekend. Looks like Lando Norris has got some grid penalties as well, so, I mean, McLaren have had such a difficult start to the year anyway, that that's just going to make things even more uncomfortable down for them. But yeah, qualifying though today, hopefully, like I said, we can try and make it through with less drama than last weekend. Right, well, there we go then. Max Verstappen down onto a 29.2, but I think the biggest surprise so far in Q1 there is actually Hamilton and George Russell just a couple of tenths away from the Red Bull there, both quicker than Sergio Perez. Looks like we've got some clean track space in front of us. We've got McLaren heading out of the pit lane here, but yeah, fingers crossed it should just be the one run needed here in free practice, as hopefully that McLaren's going to stay out of the way. No, he's not. And that's immediately Charles Leclerc's run in the bin. F1 Manager, I beg, this has got to get sorted. We may as well then ride on board with Carlos Sainz. Fingers crossed that McLaren won't hold up both cars in a single run there. But yeah, Leclerc's going to have to bail out on that one and head back into the pit lane. Luckily it was down at turn 1 rather than much later on in the lap there. So we'll try and ride then around the circuit with Carlos Sainz. Safely into Q2, I think, is probably going to be about a high 19 there. You know, that should be enough to see us in. But you never quite know, you know, track evolution can be quite extreme, especially on a street circuit there. As we can see, the McLaren just up the road, potentially holding up one of the Aston Martins. And luckily, does jump out of the way for us a little bit there. Not great positioning. I think that was Lando Norris, as we've now got an Aston Martin. No, it is Charles Leclerc, who gets out of the way, but only just. That was a bit close for comfort between our two drivers. They're not too happy with that one, but we've got even more traffic in the way, though, down in towards the new and improved Sector 3 there. Hopefully, I think that's Yuki Tsunoda will jump out of the way. No, he won't. And are we getting held up because of this one? We may as well let Sainz finish off the run anyway. Looks like Tsunoda is still pushing there as we head through the final corners. I don't think Sainz has lost too much from that. At the final turn, though, down towards start-finish line. Where is Carlos Sainz going to go at the end of his first run? He will go P3 there. 2 tenths away, splits the Mercs. That should, like I said, be good enough to see him into Q2, but I'm probably going to let both drivers do a late run in the session. Right, here we go then. Charles Leclerc on his second run in Q1 there. 23 seconds off the pace at the end of his first lap, so he's going to be about the pace of the Williams there. But yeah, really surprised actually to see, you know, even the likes of Bottas and Fernando Alonso right there mixing it with the big boys as Charles Leclerc goes purple through the first sector. Surely this one is going to be a much, much better lap from the young Monegasque driver there and should theoretically push him right towards the front of the field. If he can get a low 19, maybe even a high 18. Here is purple sector 1, purple sector 2. This is shaping up quite nicely here as we'll ride on board with Charles Leclerc down in towards the final sector of the lap. He's the only person to really not get a representative in there, as Tsunoda probably a long way off where he would expect to be as well. But now down in towards the final few turns of the lap, really trying to open up the track space as best as possible. Here is Charles Leclerc. He's going to have no one in the way, though, as he heads through the final couple of turns of this flying lap. Will it be down into the 118s here? It's been purple so far throughout the lap here for Charles Leclerc, up towards the checkered flag, and that is about an 18.6. Smashed it out of the park there, 6 tenths clear. And that really goes to sort of tell Red Bull and Mercedes, you can try, but you're not going to get close. And there we go, Sainz green in Sector 1, but purple in Sector 2, so maybe the Spaniard going to be able to go even quicker here than Charles Leclerc. But so far this weekend has pretty much ran flawlessly for us. As round in the final corner comes Carlos Sainz. Spaniard opens up the DRS on the run towards the line. Surely this is going to be him comfortably into Q2. It is an 18.6 as well there, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, an 18.7 at the end of the run. And that is perfect from both our drivers. Everyone else is going to do one last run. We're all sorted. Hopefully Max Verstappen can't get close. And there we go then, Q1 done and dusted. It was actually Sergio Perez who was able to get a whole lot closer there. I'm guessing Verstappen got held up on his final run. So if Verstappen's normally quarter of a second quicker than Sergio Perez, there might still be enough in it for Max Verstappen to make the difference. But into Q2, comfortably there. Can we try and get our first front row lockout of the year? That would be important, but so far the track is suiting us. Right, so jumping into Q2 then, what I've done is I've set both drivers to go out first of all on the same set of tyres they used in Q1. Fingers crossed that means they can just try and get a representative in, and then of course they've got a fresh set to really try and chuck around the circuit later on in the session. Of course means they can try and get themselves set up and working out what they're going to need to do when we get into Q3 there. But again, Charles Leclerc in some traffic behind one of the Mercedes. I don't know how unlucky he's been so far in this qualifying session there. As George Russell, get out of the way, please. Why? Why is this still a thing on F1 Manager there? George Russell does finally peel out of the way. I think he's held up Leclerc slightly, but hopefully it hasn't made too big of a difference as Leclerc still went purple in Sector 1. We'll see whether Sainz will go any quicker here as he heads out of turn 5, just focusing on the mini-map. Sainz doesn't even go faster than him, so maybe George Russell didn't hold up Charles Leclerc as much as I'd originally thought. And out of the final corner then, again, it seems like Leclerc's got a bit more pace in Sector 1 and Sector 3, but Sainz just that bit faster in Sector 2. Alonso does a 19.9. We go pretty much exactly a second quicker there on an 18.9. Let's just see what time Sainz can do as he heads through the final turn of the run. I mean, 18.9 should see us comfortably into Q3 there, but Carlos Sainz up towards the checkered flag. He's going to be a long way off. No idea what happened to Sainz on that lap. 3 seconds away, so Leclerc might safely be through into Q3 with that time. Sainz is definitely going to need another run. Right, Carlos Sainz then, still somehow not in the drop zone there. Very, very weird to see a lot of cars not doing a run at this point of the session, but luckily it looks like he's got some clear track space. Again, there's a McLaren a little way up the road, but fingers crossed they will stay out of the way of Carlos here, as we'll try and ride on board with him once more around this lap. I still think the third person sort of TV camera is definitely the way to go here, as I think, yeah, Daniel Ricciardo this time around, homeboy at his, obviously at his home race again, funnily enough. You know, it's been nice to see Albert Park back on the Formula 1 calendar here, but fingers crossed the Australian does stay out of the way there, and it looks like he is just about, oh, not great. Is Sainz improving? Still, he went purple through Sector 1. Hopefully, even if he can just sort of get between Max Verstappen and Fernando Alonso there, that should be enough to see him into Q3. As like I said, I don't think we need Leclerc to go out for another run there. Yellow through Sector 2, so really not what Sainz would have wanted so far on the lap. I mean, there's definitely needs some tweaking with the AI getting out of the way there. They need their awareness upped massively on F1 Manager, but right on board then, Sainz in towards the final sector of the lap. Will he be able to find enough time there at least to try and sit himself down into the low 19s? Quicker than Bottas is probably the aim. Round in the final corner though, here comes Carlos Sainz up towards the checkered flag. 16, 17, 18, 19, it's still not good. Carlos Sainz there, only able to go up to P8, he's still getting held up by other cars. We are going to have to go for a last-ditch attempt with the Spaniard here if he wants any chance of making it into Q3. Right, well, it is going to take one final run then from the Spaniard here as into turn 1 he goes. Looks like everyone else is about to start their qualifying lap as well, so fingers crossed he shouldn't get held up in any traffic here. You know, it's times like this I can understand why everyone else does go out for their runs together at the end of the session, but I've let Leclerc stay in the pit lane. He should be safely through into Q3 unless something dramatic happens here at the end of the session. But Sainz, yeah, still just on the cusp of the drop zone. You know, the likes of your Esteban Ocons, your Daniel Ricciardos, or even your Lando Norrises could go quicker still. As purple again through the first sector, but that's not where Sainz has had issues so far. We've got a lock up in Sector 3. I think that is the Haas car of Kevin Magnussen with a few small issues, but we won't worry about that all too much there, as Magnussen, yeah, locked up into turn 14 before he even started his run. Purple through Sector 2 for Carlos Sainz. Surely this is going to be enough to see him back towards the top of the order here, as long as nothing dramatic happens down in towards the final sector of the lap there. Doesn't run wide like we saw Fernando Alonso, of course, with issues in the real-life Grand Prix earlier on this year, but through the final couple of turns he goes. The 14 tight right-hander there before you open up the car through the final left of the lap, up towards the checkered flag for the final time in Q2. This surely is enough for Carlos Sainz to see him into Q3, and it's going to be another 18.6. 2/10 clear of Sergio Perez. That you love to see there. Sainz, when the pressure was on, it's been Leclerc that's had to deliver the laps early on this year, but Sainz has done it this time round, and fastest at the end of Q2. Well, there we go then, the difference there at the end of Q2. Carlos Sainz, fastest lap we've seen so far of the weekend. But Red Bull again, you know, I know we keep saying it, Red Bull is still right there, ready for the final run there. Of course, Leclerc's got one extra set of tyres over Carlos Sainz, so he might struggle to try and get the lap in Q3. But let's get into it then. Australian Grand Prix, can we try and get our third pole position of the year? Right, so we're going to let both drivers go out for a run nice and early on in the session. They just want to try and allow them to get bank laps in there, as of course Sainz just in the rear view of Charles Leclerc. Down in towards turn 1 though, I did see another car there. It's a Red Bull this time round. Both laps ruined immediately. This has got to be fixed. Got to be, surely. Right, well, Sainz is going to have to go out on the same scrub set that he tried to use on the first run. Luckily, shouldn't make too much of a difference here for the Spaniard. But Sergio Perez immediately down into the 18s. We've also got Max Verstappen out on a lap as well there. And like we said, you know, Verstappen normally has got a little bit of extra pace over Sergio here, so it's going to be interesting to see how he gets on, as Hamilton clearly not able to get the lap in that he would have wanted. But we'll try and monitor what both drivers are doing here. Hopefully, again, you know, if they can get back into the 18s on this first run, then we'll really try and just get them out in some clear air, ready for the final laps of the session there. Sainz again, purple through the first sector. This is exactly what we need at the moment. Just keep applying the pressure to Red Bull there. Is Leclerc getting stuck in traffic? Looks like he's got some clear real estate in front of him for the moment, but there is definitely a Mercedes just up the road there, and I think that's Lewis Hamilton, who of course isn't on a run at the moment. Leclerc goes even faster though through sector 1, and that's been the narrative we've seen so far this weekend, as Willie get blocked by the Mercedes there. It looks like a tiny bit, but that shouldn't be too much of a difference. There is Carlos Sainz, purple through sector 2, like we've seen many times before. Now will Leclerc go green in that middle sector? He should do at the very least there. Yes, there he goes. Leclerc green through sector 2, so it could still be a front row lockout here as Carlos Sainz rounds the final corner to finish off his first run in the third and final session here. Luckily, we have got enough time to go out for another run there, and there we go. Another 18.6 from Carlos Sainz there. That is absolutely critical at this stage of the session. I'm not convinced Leclerc is going to be able to beat that, but he certainly should still be close as he rounds the final corner. Verstappen, he goes, where does he go? 35 thousandths away from Carlos Sainz there. How many times will the Dutchman get incredibly close there? Leclerc can only manage P8 though at the end of the first run there. Purple sector 1, purple sector 3, like we've seen so many times, but just that block from the Mercedes has really cost him. Right, well, let's ride on board then with current pole sitter Carlos Sainz there. Everyone, of course, out ready for their final runs, and luckily it looks like we've been able to get both cars into some clear air here. But this is where it matters. Can Carlos Sainz get his first pole position of the year there? And of course, the first pole position of his career. Took the win last weekend out in Jeddah, but I'm sure he'd love to try and cap it off with an even better run on a Saturday here. Charles Leclerc's often just had the measure of him on a Saturday there, but Sainz has been a lot closer on race pace. And of course, the real question is, what can those Red Bulls do? Will Max Verstappen find anything more there? Sainz can't improve through sector 1 there, but he's often struggled a little bit more through that first sector, but he seems to get fantastic drive at turn 6 to help him around the rest of the lap. But I think the real one we need to watch is Charles Leclerc. Again, he doesn't improve through sector 1, but again, you know, the big mistake for him was at the end of sector 2 there. Sainz purple through the second sector like we've seen so many times, but how much faster can Leclerc go? That is the important question at the moment here, as Carlos Sainz heading down in towards the final sector of the lap. Leclerc is up. Leclerc is green at the end of sector 2 there, so that is really important. As long as he can try and get a good representative on the board, even if it's not pole, at least he's going to be right there with the Red Bulls and his teammate. Carlos Sainz rounding the final corner. Will the Spaniard find any more at the end of qualifying up towards the checkered flag? You watch the clock slowly tick by, and I think it was another 18.6 there. Fractions away from his previous run, but Charles Leclerc rounds the final turn, opens up the DRS as he heads toward the checkered flag, currently 19th. Where will he improve to? It's pole position for Charles Leclerc there. Fantastic job by the young Monegasque driver. Well, where will Max Verstappen be able to improve here as he heads through the final couple of corners? He's a little way behind the Alpine, so he shouldn't get held up by them. Will Max Verstappen be able to end the Ferrari run of pole positions at the start of the year there? Opens up the DRS up towards the checkered flag. Verstappen, last man on a run. No, he will not. He stays P3 there. He does improve by 17 thousandths of a second, but it's not enough for the Dutchman, and for the first time on F1 Manager, it's a front row lockout for Ferrari. Look at those times there at the end of the session. Charles Leclerc, right when it mattered, got the lap in, and an 18.509 there. Brilliant pace from him. Carlos Sainz P2, just ahead of Max Verstappen there, and like I said, our first front row lockout ever on F1 Manager. Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, 5th and 6th. They're ahead of always Bottas, being a fantastic little qualifier there in at P7. Both Alpines and Pierre Gasly round out the top 10, but let's get into it then. Australian Grand Prix time here from Albert Park. This channel is proudly sponsored by Bybit, the official crypto partner of Red Bull's Formula 1 team. I've been using their platform for my personal crypto savings over the last few months, and when they got in touch to support the channel, I was super excited. Currently, they're offering you guys a special new promo for the first 100 of you to deposit $10 or more onto the platform. You'll get another $10 free. Also, 5 lucky winners will get their initial deposit doubled up to $1,000. That means if you deposited $1,000 onto the platform using my codes below, you could be within a chance to get another $1,000 completely free. We've seen the landscape around crypto drastically change over the last couple of years, and I genuinely believe it holds an important place in our future. However, please be careful as always when trading, as you are liable to lose money. But if you're interested and you're 18 or older, click the link down below to get started and see why Red Bull and myself, as well as thousands of others, trust Bybit as their crypto.
It's time for the final touches here on the grid, ahead of today's race.
These past few days, Ferrari have been absolutely thrilling their fans. Now let's see if they can make the Tifosi proud by capitalizing on that grid position. This weekend, Red Bull displayed promise during qualifying. Now they need to capitalize on their grid position and get a good race under their belts. And the race will be taking place under blue skies. That means the teams should be able to apply their strategies without any added complications.
Exciting choices lie ahead then for the teams and their drivers here in Melbourne. So let's see what happens.
Right, well, ready then here in the land down under for the Australian Grand Prix. Of course, first time it's returned in a few years. In terms of strategy, though, I'm really tempted to try and split it up this weekend, you know, whether it's worth getting one of the drivers. I know we haven't really got a fresh set of soft compound tyres to use at the start of the race there, so I think it's going to be a fairly boring medium to hard race.
It's sunny and bright as the drivers line up on the grid. And there is Charles Leclerc. P1 today. Let's see if they can take advantage of that position. And further back, there's Sainz. They're in second place on the grid, but that could so easily change in the first few seconds of the race. Will their hard work pay off today? Brace yourselves for the Australian Grand Prix. And it's lights out and away we go.
Well, let's have a look then. Lights out and away we go here in Albert Park. And looks like Leclerc has just about done the job down in towards turn 1 there. Verstappen might be able to apply pressure to Carlos Sainz, but no, the Spaniard slots in behind his teammate there into formation off the start. But here comes Sainz already, trying to look round the outside of Charles Leclerc as we head down in towards turn 3 there. I'm not going to try and get both drivers to be too aggressive off the start with each other. Of course, the big battle is still with the Red Bulls behind us. You know, we need to be sensible at the start of the year, but the dreams start for both our cars then. Charles Leclerc hangs on to the lead there ahead of Carlos Sainz. Max Verstappen still in P3 ahead of Perez there. Ocon's had a blinding start up into P6. Have we got any interesting tyre strategies though? Sonoda, Zhou Guanyu and Lando Norris all on the hards there, but looks like everyone else starting on the mediums as here comes Sainz again down the back straight away. We can't let these two battle too hard at the start of the race there, but of course we don't want to leave Sainz vulnerable to Max Verstappen behind there, as we might try and ride on board actually with the Dutchman who's watching these Ferraris duke it out at the front of the field. Of course, they need to try and, you know, do something a bit different this weekend if they want to try and get under our skin and sort of try and upset us and maybe sneak away a race victory here, or even just a second place. You know, we've had 2 perfect starts to the weekend there, 2 1-2s. Got to get the name in. And of course, fastest laps as well in both weekends. They're the full 44 points from the first 2 race weekends. As you can just see at the final corner though, doesn't look like we've had too much of a dramatic start here. It's still Sergio Perez again. I think it's going to be critical today to see what he can do, but Leclerc is still just trying to keep Sainz at bay there, but Sainz, you can see, is hungry. He's driving with a lot of aggression very early on in this race, and that is going to make things very interesting to see how this pans out early on here in Albert Park. I mean, really what we want to do early on here is actually try and get both drivers to push just a little bit more there and just build up a 1-second gap over Max Verstappen behind there. So I'm going to let Leclerc try and push, see if he can break away slightly from his teammate, and then hopefully try and drag him along there. As DRS now enabled, of course. Adami just letting Carlos Sainz know that one, as I apologise, I have probably butchered an Italian pronunciation there. But yeah, we've got to see if we can try and get Max Verstappen out of the range early on. If we can just try and build up a bit of a gap there. But of course, safety cars, we saw one of those last weekend. That can really mix things up very, very quickly here. But I am going to allow Leclerc just to burn a little bit more fuel early on and just sort of see what he can do. So here we go then, through the final couple of corners. Carlos Sainz already trying to apply the pressure to Charles Leclerc here. They were going side by side down in towards the final turn. Is Sainz going to try and get the run on his teammate there? You can see Verstappen is still right there as well, watching these two battle it out through this first couple of turns there. I mean, Leclerc is meant to be pushing just that little bit more, but the overtake failed for Carlos Sainz there, so I think he might just sit back again. I wish you could have sort of some team orders and just tell him, you know, sort of sit back early on here, but I mean, this is just shaping up nicely for Max Verstappen, who's watching our two drivers go at it, and hopefully he won't be able to capitalise. As my best guess was that it was out on this DRS zone that Sainz is able to get the run on Charles Leclerc there. You can see Leclerc trying to defend from Carlos Sainz. Sainz again looks to the inside though. Is he going to try and send it and make a move work there? Leclerc gives him the room around the inside, but in towards the next turn, I think Leclerc should just about be able to swoop in and hang on to the position there, but this is not what we need early on in the year, as Sainz, not wanting to give up on it, tries to have a look around the outside of Charles Leclerc there. They're still giving each other space, but is now Sainz going to be able to get a run out of the final corner here? I don't think he is. We've got yellow flags out. Car is spun out in Sector 3. Not too sure who that is on the mini-map. Can't quite tell who it is. It was George Russell down at turn 15. So what else happened to George Russell then in this Grand Prix? Did he just dip a wheel on the grass on the way in? No, looped it round on the curbing, and George Russell now down right towards the rear of the field there. A horrible start to him, and that is not what Toto Wolff or anyone down at Mercedes wants to see, because whilst we're all battling at the front, I'm sure they'd love to try and pick up the pieces. Again though, here comes Carlos Sainz, trying to have a look around the outside. No, can't again quite make the move work there, but this is just really allowing Red Bull to sit back and enjoy it and just hold formation. As again, you can just see all three of these drivers hounding Charles Leclerc there. As round the outside goes Carlos Sainz down at turn 3. Luckily, again, these two have got great racing respect for each other, so they will give each other the space. But Sainz now might just have pulled off the move there. So close between both of our cars there. They're still side by side, but Sainz makes the move work. He will now inherit the lead of the Australian Grand Prix here in Albert Park. Hopefully Leclerc isn't under too much pressure from Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez behind him there, but I can't help but wonder whether Leclerc's just got a small issue on that car early on, but now he's got to try and stick with Carlos Sainz here. But do we let the Spaniard try and pull away? I think we've got to let Sainz try and push if he's got the pace. We'll tell him just to deploy for a couple of laps there, as Leclerc should hang on to the DRS. And now let's see what Sainz can do. He's got the lead of the Grand Prix. Let's see if he can try and keep it there. Oh no, here comes Max Verstappen on Charles Leclerc on lap 8 there. We're just trying to let Sainz, like I said, pull away a little bit. And the gap is opening up slightly to the leader there, but I don't want Charles Leclerc to fall too far away as well. We just need to try and keep him within the DRS range. But both drivers have taken quite a lot out of their tyres early on. But apparently not as much as the Red Bulls still, so just sat in the dirty air there watching things. You'd expect Red Bulls to be trying to nurse their rubber, but still Leclerc has got superior tyre wear over the pair of them. Oh, we got another spinner as we head through lap 10 there. That's down in Sector 1 as well. I think that might be a Haas car. Might be Kevin Magnussen who's gone round. No, it's Mick Schumacher that's gone round. Got yellow flags. Let's have a look what happened then to Mick Schumacher here, side by side with one of the Aston Martins, and no, just can't quite find the grip around the outside there. Looked like he might have got a puncture in that instance, but not what Haas need either, as George Russell and Mick Schumacher struggling. Of course, neither of them have raced around Albert Park before in Formula 1. Perhaps they're just trying to learn the circuit still, despite the fact it's Sunday. So you can see now again Leclerc up the inside of Carlos Sainz even, down in towards the final corner. I mean, we are giving the Australian fans the absolute value of a lifetime for their tickets, as side by side again through the final couple of corners here. But Max Verstappen, he's a clever driver. He's just watching this all unfold from further back there. And will we see Leclerc make the move on Sainz this time round, or will he be under pressure from the Dutchman as we head back down towards turn 1? Please don't lose the place to Max Verstappen as well there. The Dutchman gets the inside through turn 2, and he will now move up into second place then of the Grand Prix. And he might be able to try and capitalise on Carlos Sainz as well. They're not quite able to just yet. as Leclerc in the background is able to defend from Sergio Perez, but this is shaping up to be a bit like Bahrain once more, and it's just Red Bull and Ferrari going absolutely at it at the front of the field, while still pulling away from the cars behind. As let's just see then what the top end speed of that Red Bull is like there, as Max Verstappen activates the DRS down in towards the third and final sector here. He's going to be able to have a look. Sainz goes very defensive. Of course, his former teammate way back at Toro Rosso. But look at that. The Dutchman does get the nose up the inside of Carlos Sainz there as they head down through the final sector. It's not often an overtaking place we see in real-life Formula 1, but Max Verstappen absolutely going for it there around the outside of Carlos Sainz. He'll have the inside for the final corner. The DRS will be activated, and surely this might be a move for Max Verstappen there. But look at Leclerc. Leclerc trying to come back at the Dutchman there. It doesn't look like he's got the DRS for whatever reason back in towards the first corner, and Sainz again will live to fight another day here. But this is brilliant racing early on in at the Australian Grand Prix there. Leclerc now trying to look around the outside of Max Verstappen once again. Can he go late on the brakes around the outside? No, he can't. Max Verstappen shuts the door once more. And again then, end of lap 12. Max Verstappen still trying to make this work around the final couple of corners here. We'll try and ride on board with Charles Leclerc, see what we can work out what's going on there. As Verstappen again can't quite get the run out of the final corner. Will Leclerc now be able to get a run on the Red Bull? It looks like if they have to close the DRS for whatever reason, then they won't turn it back on there, as here comes Perez around the outside of Charles Leclerc through turn 1. Surely Leclerc won't get shuffled down to P4 in this race. No, he won't. Perez just has to give him the room on the exit of turn 1 there. But here goes Verstappen then around the outside of Carlos Sainz there, and Verstappen, has he just made a move for the lead of the Australian Grand Prix there? The Dutchman does give Carlos Sainz the room still as they head round sector 1 there. This is again fantastic racing from Albert Park there, but Sainz hangs on only just for now to the lead of the Grand Prix there. Will that leave Verstappen vulnerable to Charles Leclerc from behind? I don't think he is just yet, but Max Verstappen really trying to get his elbows out as Sainz does hold on and does keep the lead here in Australia. Right, so it looks like Verstappen then is going to try and time his run a little bit better this time round. We've seen just how OP the DRS can be out of the final corner, and this is exactly what I mean. Max Verstappen to the outside of Carlos Sainz here as we head back down towards turn 1, and Verstappen takes the lead here in Albert Park, Australia. Looks like Sainz now under pressure from his teammate Charles Leclerc behind. I just need to tell Leclerc to back out at the moment there. We can't afford to let these guys trip over each other all too much, as Verstappen now into the lead of the Grand Prix. Have Red Bull been able to finally unlock that little bit of extra pace that they need to really try and get under our skin? Oh, here we go. Leclerc again trying to have a look for a move on Carlos Sainz. I've actually got Leclerc trying to conserve fuel at the moment as Verstappen and Sainz are going side by side down in towards turn 1 there, but we've got a lot of cars pitting behind us in this Grand Prix. That seems very early to be making a call here. We're probably going to try and extend to at least sort of lap 20, lap 23, even lap 25 really would probably be quite sensible here. So I'm not too sure if they're all trying to two-stop. But yeah, I mean, Sainz still hanging on to P2, but I just can't let these two trip over each other as we need to try and get back ahead of Max Verstappen. But as we get towards about 1/3 distance then here in Australia, I've got no idea what's going on at the moment. Leclerc now suddenly is back up into P2 of the Grand Prix. They're just behind Max Verstappen. Sainz has dropped back into P3, but I'm not really too sure how there, as we're going to try and see if Leclerc can get a run on Max Verstappen back down towards turn 1 there. Looks like he will be able to. So Leclerc then, he's been sat in P3 for the last few laps, but patience has been key. And as we start lap 20, Charles Leclerc back into the lead of this Grand Prix. This is just insane here in Albert Park, Australia. Both Ferraris, both Red Bulls covered by about a second at this stage of the day there, and there is nothing to separate us, as Lando Norris, of course, going long on his hard tyres up to P5. Maybe he can make that strategy work. Now is Sainz under pressure from Sergio Perez just a little bit further back. Will the Red Bull be able to get past him? No, Sergio Perez just backs out of that one. But of course we are trying to save fuel as well still at the moment. But I guess the real question is, when are we going to see those Red Bulls into the pits? And will we go much longer than them? I've told Leclerc he's got to push. We're going to go full fuel, full ERS, and full on the tyre wear there. Charles Leclerc immediately responds with a new fastest lap, but I wanted to try and get out of the DRS range from Max Verstappen behind there. I just want to try and see if we can push him to be a bit more comfortable there. It's a 23-0 from Charles Leclerc at the front of the field. But again, you know, he just gets stuck with these slower cars around us. We'll have to just make sure we don't get held up behind the Williams here, as fingers crossed. I'm guessing that's Nicholas Latifi about to get in the way there. How he's already a lap down, just 20 laps in, I'm not 100% sure. There's Latifi, does peel out of the way. Will he hold up Max Verstappen just behind, though? He might just a little bit. No, doesn't look like particularly. As, yeah, I think he has got out of the way of everyone, apart from Sergio Perez. Let's get Charles Leclerc pushing again then, and let's see what he can do. Oh, there we go, lap 21. That's taken me by surprise. Max Verstappen into the pit lane then. That's a bit earlier than I had originally anticipated from the Dutchman. What tyres is he going to be going on to then in this GP? Is it going to be hards, or is it going to be a set of the softs, or even the mediums, of course? Whether he's going to be 2 stopping or 1 stopping here. It looks like everyone else has gone on hards, which should see them through to the checkered flag there, and we're still not quite getting confirmation. He should come out ahead of Lando Norris, though, in some clear air. But Max Verstappen, as he heads out of the pit lane, he is on hards then, so he probably is going to try and see those out to the end of the race. But we've still got a bit more tyre life on these mediums. We've now just got to monitor the gap and make sure neither of our cars get undercut. Lap 26 then. Looks like Verstappen actually hasn't got as much pace as we originally anticipated on those hard compound tyres there, so maybe Red Bull have made the switch just a little bit too early, or struggling to heat them up there, as we've still got a few slower cars to try and navigate as well. Perhaps as well it was also just Verstappen struggling on, you know, trying to get around the lapped cars, but Sainz still not far away from Charles Leclerc. He has reclaimed fastest lap of the day, but in terms of tyre wear then, I reckon we can afford to make a very, very late call for Charles Leclerc into the pit lane here. Onto a set of hards we go. Pit this lap. He'll actually come in the end of next one. But now, of course, I'm not convinced we'll get undercut by Max Verstappen. Those hard tyres have not warmed up in the way they would have wanted, as now we've got one of the Aston Martins trying to look past Carlos Sainz in towards someone. This is not helpful, but luckily Sainz hangs on just in front of Sebastian Vettel. Right, so Charles Leclerc then into the pits at the end of lap 27 there. He's done a brilliant job there to pretty much make it a half distance in this Grand Prix. We'll just tell Sainz as well that he's going to have to box at the end of next lap, as we'll make sure we actually click the right buttons on that one. Fingers crossed, nice clean tidy stop for Charles Leclerc, and hopefully, like I said, he can re-emerge in P2 then. Nice stop by the Ferrari team. Onto that set of hard compound tyres there. Where is Verstappen? He's only down at the final corner there. As you can see, Charles Leclerc heading back out of the pit lane, and looks like again we have got the jump on Max Verstappen here. As long as we stay out ahead of Alex Albon as we head back down towards someone, then we shouldn't be too vulnerable from the Dutchman behind, who does get held up behind the Williams. That is critical in this race then. Max Verstappen has been held by the Williams, and Charles Leclerc hangs on by just now a second and a half. And that means at the end of lap 28 then, Carlos Sainz into the pits. Max Verstappen, though, this could still be very, very close between the Dutchman and the Spaniard here, because of course Sainz was about a second away from Charles Leclerc when he did box. Looks like it's been another clean, tidy stop there, another 2.6 second stop for Carlos Sainz. And will he get out ahead of Charles Leclerc? I don't think he will there, as here comes Leclerc down the pit lane. Here comes Carlos Sainz, though, heading back out. It's going to be close, actually, on pit exit there, but I think Leclerc should just about have enough there. No, he doesn't. Sainz somehow has got the jump on Charles Leclerc there, and they've still got Max Verstappen right behind them as they head out of the pit lane here. But Carlos Sainz back into the lead of the Australian Grand Prix there. I'm just going to allow him to push on those tyres a little bit over the next couple of laps, see if he can build up a gap to Charles Leclerc behind. But now we've still got the Dutchman and Max Verstappen for the first time this year after the pit window, able to apply the pressure. Oh, we got Max Verstappen trying to have a look past Charles Leclerc once more there as we head down in towards the final couple of turns. Will Leclerc be able to hang on to the placer? I think Max Verstappen might just have done enough and is now back up into second place of the Grand Prix there. And Verstappen is really, really trying to push at the moment. I'm going to let Leclerc try and go back onto a balanced strategy here, as here comes Verstappen up the inside of Carlos Sainz back down towards turn one there. Will he make the move work? No, he won't just yet. But maybe Max Verstappen has got enough pace in that Red Bull to try and make the difference here. Up the inside he goes, in towards turn 3 there, on Carlos Sainz. Will the Red Bull retake the lead of the Australian Grand Prix? There is going to have the outside for turn 4. That normally gives us the outside for turn 5 there, but often the Red Bulls have had to lift out of it on the exit of the corner there, and Max Verstappen can't quite make it at the moment, as we've got more cars into the pits for that's obviously all the drivers that were on the hard compound tyres there, so they're definitely going to try and see those mediums out to the checkered flag. But Sainz hangs on for now, and again, you can just see we now got some lap traffic in the way. He's going to make things a bit more difficult there as Leclerc just gets held up slightly behind one of the Aston Martins. I'm guessing that was Lance Stroll. But that's not really helped him out, but it has given Sainz again a little bit of space there, as we've now got the other Aston Martin and one of the Haas cars there, Mick Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel going side by side down in towards the final sector, and this might just bring them all back together again as we head in towards, well, we're just over half distance in this Grand Prix. There's been so much going on here at Albert Park that was still barely over the halfway stage of the afternoon there, as Mick Schumacher does back out of it. Sebastian Vettel is going to try and do the same there. Charles Leclerc struggling slightly with tyre wear, but with all those lap cars now navigated, the gaps have pretty much stayed the same still. But Max Verstappen, he is hungry. He wants to try and get Red Bull's first win of the year on the board. Here comes Max Verstappen again, though, back in towards turn 1, and the Dutchman's done it. Round the outside of Carlos Sainz, or Charles Leclerc further back, sets new fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and I'm just getting a little bit worried. Sainz is still trying to push like crazy, and you can just see there, Max Verstappen now has still been able to make the move work there. Let's watch that one just quickly on the replays then as we went out of the final corner. The AI, just the straight line speed seems massive down in towards turn 1 there, and Verstappen swoops into the lead of the Australian Grand Prix there. We had it pretty easy in the opening 2 races of the year, but Max Verstappen and Red Bull are not going to let us just take wins left, right and centre, as Ferrari not happy with that one, understandably, but this race is still far from over. So Carlos Sainz again trying to look around the outside of Max Verstappen down in through Sector 3 there. We've seen so many battles through this part of the lap, but is Sainz going to be able to make the move work there to the inside through the penultimate corner, given the outside through the final corner, but often the AI are able to carry the momentum out of that final turn there around the outside. Is Sainz now going to be able to have a look on Max Verstappen as we head back down towards turn 1 there? He's got the DRS wide open, but just can't quite make anything happen there. He hasn't got enough battery at the moment. I've already told Leclerc just to back off slightly so we can try and focus on maybe going for a late race charge with him again there, as Sainz now to the inside of Max Verstappen, back down in towards turn 3 there. Leclerc, this is working out brilliantly for him because, of course, like I said, he's saving battery, he's saving fuel, he's saving the tyres there, and this could mean he could try and get the jump on both of them late on in the day there. But will Sainz be able to make the move work on Max Verstappen? Again, no. Just has to slot back in behind, and I think once we get to sort of mid-lap 40s, we might have to make the call to swap our drivers around and let Charles Leclerc just absolutely hammer it towards the checkered flag. Oh no, I think Sainz had a bit of a mistake there. The gap's opened up to 1.6 seconds to Verstappen in the lead there, is on to lap 42 of 58 we go, and now Verstappen is just starting to pull away ever so slightly. I think now we might have to try and make the switch there, but I mean, Leclerc's got a little bit of extra fuel, but he's got not much, he's got a bit more tyre life as well there. I think we have got to try and make the swap. Leclerc, you're going to go aggressive, and you're going to try and push towards the checkered flag here, as round the outside of Carlos Sainz. He's going to go back down towards turn 1 there. I just want Sainz to back out of it, and there we go. Leclerc back into P2 of the Grand Prix. We're going to have to let him try and go in pursuit of Max Verstappen at the front of the field there. 15 laps to go here in towards the final quarter of this Grand Prix. Have Red Bull got enough to try and hang on for the first time this year? But immediately, look at the gap coming down to Max Verstappen at the front of the field there. He's almost instantly going to be back within the DRS range of the Dutchman. There we go then, Charles Leclerc just 1 lap later round the outside of Max Verstappen as they went back down towards turn 1 there. Leclerc back into the lead of the Australian Grand Prix there, and he has just played the patience game beautifully today, and now let's hope he can build up a gap to Max Verstappen behind there. Let's watch how the Ferraris react to that. Love that, the team, and once more Ferrari back into the lead of the Australian Grand Prix though. But what a race this has been, but 14 laps to go now. Leclerc, you can keep pushing, mate. Let's try and build up the gap to Max Verstappen behind there, and this is exactly why we wanted to just be careful over these last few laps there. Just build up the battery, allow him then to be able to go flat out for a couple of laps there and try and break away. As you can already see how much Sainz has had to back off late on in the race there. The gap up to nearly 4 seconds to Carlos Sainz just further behind, but can Leclerc build up the gap to Max Verstappen and maybe just be able to sort of slowly bring the car home without too much pressure? It's been a valiant effort by Max so far this weekend. This has certainly been Red Bull's strongest race so far, but I'm hoping it's still not quite going to be enough. As we're getting in towards the final 10 laps though of this race, Max Verstappen is not giving up on it just yet. You can see Sainz, I'm just going to put him back onto standard modes towards the checkered flag here. He has got a little bit of extra battery that he can use, but I don't think we're going to worry about that all too much there. But Verstappen, he is still looking really, really strong late on in the afternoon here. Charles Leclerc has got very little battery left. He got held up by some slower cars. This means he's not got much to try and defend himself here as Max Verstappen to the outside of Charles Leclerc there. Oh, it's so close again to contact as Leclerc rattles it over the curbs there, but this is last year's world champion versus this year's championship leader there. Will Max Verstappen be able to make the move work around the outside there? Leclerc hangs firm for now, but 10 laps to go with this race. This is not over yet. I mean, look at this as we're about to head on to lap 51 of this race. 8 to go here from Albert Park, and Verstappen is still right there on Charles Leclerc. This could be a last lap move for the win between either of these drivers. It has just been the biggest game of cat and mouse we've seen so far on F1 Manager, but will Verstappen have enough to have a look back down the inside in towards turn 1 there? Often they actually try and go for the run down in towards turn 3, but Leclerc will again hang on in towards the first corner there. But here comes Max Verstappen again with the DRS towards the outside. I'm sure he'll look on Charles Leclerc once again here, and can he try and get around the outside there? He breaks super late in towards that third corner, but Leclerc once more is on the inside for turn 2. He'll have the inside, in towards turn 5 as well, and he's still just ahead of Max Verstappen at the moment, and again, just about hangs on. This is brilliant racing late on here in Albert Park, but I'm hoping we can bring it back to Maranello for the third race in a row. Here we go, lap 54, 5 to go now. Max Verstappen again trying to look around the outside there, but Leclerc is getting more and more aggressive with his defending here. I don't think we have got a couple more lap cars just up the road there, but we've lapped all the way up into P12 of this race there. George Russell with his nightmare of an afternoon there, but Leclerc still just hanging on from Max Verstappen here with 5 laps to go. Will it be going back to Maranello, or will it be going Dutch, the Australian Grand Prix, for the first time in 3 years? What a show. I know I keep saying it, but this has delivered a brilliant weekend. No! No! Leclerc, he's just ran wide down at turn 1 there, and Verstappen will take the lead back of the Grand Prix there with 4 to go. Let's just have a look at what happened to Charles Leclerc back in towards the first corner there. Just tried to keep it around the outside of Verstappen. Ran a little bit wide through turn 1 there, and Max Verstappen back into the lead of the Grand Prix. Will we have enough time to try and close up the gap as we head in towards the final 4 laps of the race? It's been a roller coaster of emotions up to now, but surely we've got to try and close back in, as the gap now 1.3 seconds. I'm not 100% sure Leclerc will have enough to try and close up by the end of this race. 3 to go then here from Albert Park, and Charles Leclerc has immediately coasted back up to the back of Max Verstappen. Of course, he's got fresher tyres, and look at that, clean around the outside through turn 3 he goes, and back into the lead of the Australian Grand Prix here. Charles Leclerc not one to give up despite the small error there. Like I said, he's got much fresher rubber than Max Verstappen. I think he's managed the fuel and the battery a whole lot better than Max Verstappen, and back into the lead we go here with just 2.5 laps remaining. But Max Verstappen could easily just be trying to sort of play dead and then come back at him down the DRS zones. As this is exactly what I mean though. Max Verstappen again trying to apply the pressure as we head down in towards turn 1 there, and Verstappen moves back up into the lead of the Grand Prix there with 2 laps to go here from Albert Park. We're going to have to ride on board to the end of this Grand Prix there. The first time on F1 Manager we are having a proper all-out duel with Red Bull here. The first 2 races of the year might have lulled us into a false sense of security there, but Max Verstappen, we have got one of the Alpines just in the way as well here. Who will that benefit late on in the day? But I mean, Leclerc's still got a little bit of battery to try and use here. We've got plenty of fuel, and on the final lap I'm just going to tell him to go absolutely all out here. As you can just see, both of us getting held up by the Alpine, but that's definitely helped Charles Leclerc out a whole lot more than it has Max Verstappen here, as we head down through the very, very fast Sector 2 now. Can Leclerc have a look up the inside there? Surely not. Down in towards the fast left-right chicane here of turn 9 and turn 10. Just over a lap to go, and it's still just a 10th between them here in Albert Park, pretty much like it has been all afternoon long. Max Verstappen aggressively defends to the inside there. He moves left, he moves right, but he will hang on to the lead as we're about to start the last lap here of the Australian Grand Prix, and I'm wondering whether it's worth sitting back until the drag race towards the checkered flag, because you often see how quick the AI are able to try and get the run out of the final corner here. Can Leclerc go for it as we're about to start the last lap of the Australian Grand Prix here? We're going to just save the battery a little bit until we get round out of the first sector here. Verstappen trying to hang on to the race lead. Verstappen just about has enough down towards turn 1 there, but let's go into overtake mode as we head out of turn 1, right on board with Charles Leclerc. Leclerc, surely now he's going to be able to get the speed down in towards the second braking zone. No, he cannot. Charles Leclerc has to stay back for now, and we're just going to again put the car back into neutral and then hopefully try and get the run out of the final corner of the Australian Grand Prix here. This has been a brilliant race up to now. There has been nothing between Red Bull and Ferrari all afternoon long there. Unfortunate for Sainz, just didn't quite have the pace today, but really I think it is Leclerc is the one you're going to rely on right when it matters here, as Max Verstappen is trying to make that Red Bull as wide as he possibly can down in towards the fast left right and chicane for the final time here in Albert Park. Max Verstappen still leads the way. Now we're going to tell Leclerc, go for it. Get on the overtake mode to the outside. The Charles Leclerc is going to try and have a look on Max Verstappen here. He can't quite get the speed though. Verstappen, he gets forced defensive. Charles Leclerc round the outside in towards the final sector. He's ran out of battery though. Charles Leclerc is going to have to try and find somewhere to try and save up some ERS. They're still side by side in towards the final two corners of the Australian Grand Prix. Will it be Max Verstappen? Will it be Charles Leclerc there? Verstappen can't quite hang on there. Leclerc's got the inside. It's going to be a drag race towards the line, and Charles Leclerc has done it.
And checkered flag.
This was incredibly difficult.
Here's the replay. Charles Leclerc there, taking home the win.
I don't think anyone could be disappointed with a race like that. A consummate professional through and through.
Well, this was definitely Charles Leclerc's weekend. This is a tremendous podium result. It's joy all around for the team. And the Monegasque driver certainly proved his worth with a terrific drive today. A lovely occasion as we see all three drivers clearly relishing their moments on the podium. Ferrari had a very good race, proving they're definitely a team to contend with.
That's right, the team really deserves to celebrate this success before looking ahead to the next race.
After an intense weekend, the team ends in first place in the constructor standings.
Now the teams will be looking ahead to Imola, where the season progresses with the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Get ready for some fierce competition.
Well, there we go then. Final race results from the Australian Grand Prix. And on paper, it looks like quite an easy one for Charles Leclerc. Their pole position, fastest lap race victory, but just 7/100ths of a second at the checkered flag there. That has got to be one of the closest finishes we have ever seen in Formula 1. And, you know, I think a few of you were a little bit worried after the opening couple of races that it was just going to be a Ferrari whitewash season, but no. Red Bull, they are certainly not going to give up on it, and like I said, I think they're going to be even stronger throughout the next couple of race weekends there. Max Verstappen, P2, they're disappointed for him not to get his first race win of the year, but what a brilliant last lap move from Charles Leclerc there. I said at the start this was meant to be quite a relaxing sort of evening series. There was nothing relaxing about the final few laps of this race there. Sainz comes through for P3 ahead of Perez there. Hamilton, Bottas there, and look at that, Lando Norris 15th to 7th in the end. A brilliant strategy by McLaren to bolster him up the order. Gasly in 8th gets more points on the board there. Fernando Alonso somehow beats out Zhou Guanyu. I'm not too sure how the timings work on that one, but you can see no drivers failed to make it to the checkered flag there. I'm sure Williams a bit gutted to be 2 laps down come the finish there, but that means drivers championship wise, Charles Leclerc opens up a 13-point lead at the top of the championship. Verstappen now just 10 points back from Max Verstappen there, and Sergio Perez with his third P4 of the year. Lando Norris, first points on the board for him, jumps him straight up into P8 there as Bottas jumps the man that replaced him down at Mercedes. Constructors-wise, though, our first non-flawless weekend of the year there, but like we said, McLaren with their first points of the year jump Haas up into 7th place as well. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well, and we will definitely be back tomorrow ready for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, Ferrari's home race. Hopefully the winning form can continue. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.